Hey, this is Ash Hamilton from Horror-Fix with Night Terrors Radio. I have got with me my two, I'm going to say beautiful. You know what it is? I'm going to give you guys credit where credit is due. My two
Is it because of the mask?
It's
okay, so just don't turn around.
It's the mask.
Yeah,
That's a
just
mask.
don't turn
Okay.
around. So those of you who are watching, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to switch the other camera here. John has got a mask on the back of his head, which is why he never got any fucking candy at Halloween, because he's doing it wrong.
right.
I always thought the front was scarier.
Well, they don't know if you're coming
But
or
that's only
going.
in certain situations. Again, we talked about the order of protection with our guests earlier.
That's true.
So we've got a great show lineup tonight. We've got our two beautiful co-hosts. Co-hosts.
I will co-host
I'm
it.
telling you, this is problematic, guys. This is
I want some of what you're drinking.
Pure life.
well, they call it the devil's drink. We've got John Gardner. We've got also Jim Chandler in the house
Hello.
with us tonight. And we've got a special show lined up tonight for you. And we're going to let our lovely guests, see, you guys are beautiful. They're lovely.
Yes.
I feel like we're in a really, really cheap...
Yeah, and Ash, I have to say that you're stunning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I wear this little black dress for just anybody.
You guys want to be left alone? You sure you want to do a show?
So it's this type of a show. Okay.
It most certainly is.
Sounds like a
Too
bad
late.
prison movie.
Too late to back out now. Yeah.
It's a talk show in a prison right now.
So, for the most part, our format, and I always say for the most part because who knows where it's going to go. For the most part, our format is we talk about horror films, we talk about horror games, we talk about horror novels, and then we also dabble in the paranormal. So the interesting thing about tonight's show is that we're going to be able to sort of skirt that line between the two a little bit, I think, if we can get some true life stories out of people tonight. What do you think, Jim? Is it going to happen?
It should happen.
It should. Well, I know it should happen, but it's going to happen. I need some confidence.
Yeah.
Now, Craig, how do I pronounce your last name?
Ahrens. Ahrens.
I had it right the entire time.
You did.
I need to have more self-confidence.
You should.
We've got Craig Ahrens, writer, producer, and I believe... Now, did you do any of the directing duties on the film, Craig?
No, David
It
did.
was all David. Now, and David, how do you pronounce your last name?
Espinosa.
I got both of them right.
There you
2
go.
for 2. I tell you what, all this college education wasn't for anything. I mean, it practically was because look at my wages. But as far as pronouncing names, I am spot on. Now, please tell us a little bit about your film, a little bit of the background. I know this is a loaded question, but if we could have a very condensed 25, 30 seconds, and then we'll get into some more meat.
The backstory to a family I've known for years. Before being a filmmaker, I thought their story was very compelling. And when I became a filmmaker, this was a project that I really wanted to shoot.
That's some dead air going on there, Craig.
Oh, sorry. I was riveted on the 25 seconds, so I just thought, because Lord knows, I don't say anything in 25 seconds. I thought, I can do this. It's a little bit of pressure, but I can do it. But, anytime you want me to just be quiet, David or somebody can jump on here. But, this is a story that I knew for a long time. And it always struck me it could have been just anybody's story. And so once becoming a filmmaker, this is something I wanted to do. And then David and I partnered up. He got on board, liked the story, became co-writer with all of his rewrites, which was kind of his way of saying the initial script sucked, but in a very professional way. And at first I was going to be the director. And then when I knew David's background for 40 years in this business, I thought, oh yeah, there you go. That makes a lot of sense, me directing. And then we went from co-directing to David just saying, David, you do this. So that's a little bit of the backstory. So David, why don't you take it from here?
Well, the story originally, when we got it, Craig brought it to me. I read it. I liked the script. I thought that some embellishment that was done was unnecessary because I thought the truth of the script was more compelling than embellishing it with Hollywood gimmicks. And we had been talking to other people who had wanted to do all kinds of boogeyman in the closet kind of things and wall crawling and that sort of thing. And I just didn't think it was necessary. And I told Craig, no. I said, why don't we just rewrite it and make it for what it truly is? What's more horrific than watching your mother, your father, your aunt, your girlfriend, your sister, your brother, anybody you know, turn into somebody crazy overnight? Somebody you love.
This is my second marriage. Yes.
There you know.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Well, like what David is saying, you know, the crawling with the head spinning backwards, that's not this story.
No.
And if it's just real simple. And if we would have gone down that path, it would have been disingenuous. And we had a couple of people, like David is saying, that wanted this story to go there. That's not this story. Maybe that's somebody else's story, but it's not our story. So, and there you have it. So we try to be truthful as storytellers.
Well, when I heard Craig tell me the story after reading it, and then he told me about the story, hearing the passion of truth in his telling told me that we didn't need that. The story in itself had that already. All we need to do was rewrite some things and make certain we had actors who could bring that ugly life to surface. And fortunately, through our auditioning, we came upon actors who we felt fit the Ryan family. And ironically, the lead, Katie, the Elena Gerard, she really had no background as a feature actor. She's done some small parts, things of that nature. But she not only looked like the part, she was able, after some coaching and some training, we spent some time with her, quite a bit of time, she was able to transition from personality to personality, much like the actual person that is represented in the film. So we were very fortunate with that. But Craig wrote initially a story that was based upon something that was horrible and that he knew of personally. So, and for me, that was worse than any type of head spinning or wall crawling or boogeyman jumping out of the closet. We don't have anything like that in the film.
Now, tell us a little bit about the casting, because one thing that I found pretty remarkable about the film is that the actors were very organic. This was a relationship that it wasn't a stretch to think that this was an actual like nuclear family. That these were the daughters of the husband and the wife. So tell us a little bit about the casting and how that worked out, because, like I said, it was very believable and very organic.
Well, if I may, Craig, when we auditioned these, ultimately I did have a lot of the say as to who was cast. Craig and I discussed to everybody, no matter what. But if I didn't feel I could work with them, if I could direct them, they were not cast. And all these folks were able to take direction from me. As to the organic nature of their relationships, one of the things in the way I work, I think I'm an actor's director. Unlike some directors who look and speak generally, well, the scene is real intense, and I want you to give it a lot of energy. I don't work that way. I'm more from what's your state of mind? Where are you coming from? Why are you feeling this way? Why are you saying this? What do you want from the other actor, and how are you going to get it? I ask them a lot of questions. I ask them about why are they angry at this? What happened before that makes you upset in this particular scene? So I'm really big on backstories. I insist that the actors write out detailed backstories, knowing where they're coming from, their relationships to the other characters in the scenes they're in, and what their conflicts are. In doing so, they have a clear path as to what's happening in the scene. And fortunately, we had actors who were able to not just understand that, but they came prepared to the set with that. So we didn't have to spend a lot of time. We shot this movie in 18 days.
Oh, wow.
With a lot of constraints. Yes, with a lot of constraints, time constraints, distance, a lot of situations that arose. And if it was not for the prepared cast and the crew, Craig and I both not only expect but demand from them that they show up prepared. First day on set, everybody knows exactly what scene we're shooting, what it's about, who's in it, what's going on, what's needed. It's not about, okay, everybody's here, what are we doing? None of that takes place. And I have a partner
there was that
who
one
understands that.
There was that one time, David. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, there was.
I'm totally kidding.
That's, by the way,
Anyway.
that is the same voice I assume whenever I'm mocking my children. Like, oh, you couldn't just
There
put
you
the
go.
dishes away now, could you? Mine's a little more Hanna-Barbera, but still.
Magilla Gorilla.
It's a little McGilligan. Exactly.
A very famous director, Elia Kazan. He's passed away, of course, old as all get out. His comment was this: 90% of directing is casting. Since then, many directors have used his statement as their own, but he's the origin of that statement, Elia Kazan. And it is so true. It is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Because a good director knows who should fit that part. And I'm not saying I'm some brilliant director. I'm saying that I was lucky enough to have the right people come into our path and audition for our film. So with all that, and we feel, and I think I'm speaking for Craig at this moment, we feel that's just God driven. He's sending us there. You know, it's his plan. We're just instruments of all that. And I know and on the show that we're on, horror and whatnot, and trust me, I believe in the occult like you wouldn't believe. You have to believe in both in order to believe in one. With that said, our film, I think, was geared towards doing just that. We wanted to present both, but without any type of gimmick. Try to be somewhat true to what reality is. And our actors were able to pull it off. We were blessed.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually came into this with a belief in the subject matter.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And also, now we had talked about the idea that this was based off of something, that this was based off an event, and of course that's one of the first things you see when you watch the film was, you know, inspired by true events. What was the story? How did you come across that story, sort of, and how long had that story been with you before you decided to commit it to film?
Well, that's Craig's era. I'll let him talk.
Literally for years. I mean, I've known the family in question a long time when I was a young guy. And one of the family members, the comment I would make is, there was nothing exceptional or out of the ordinary about this family. And this could have been just any family. But this didn't happen like over a long 3-day weekend. It was just over time. And like there's a line in the film, which actually was real life. And the comment was, does mom seem okay to you? Because, you know, it's one of these things that had just kind of like snuck up on them. But, you know, as you would go and visit this family, you could just see like a bit of a snapshot, like mom is slipping away. And, you know, the thing is, we all have, I think, kind of ingrained in our heads The Exorcist, and the stories like that. You expect that's kind of the benchmark, if you will. And so like with this and where David's genius came into play, you know, from a standpoint of the script and directing, is that this story, again, based on truism, if there's one family that contended with this, well, if there's one, there is going to be more. And the original working title we had was The Family Down the Street, but we later thought, wise, like that just sounds kind of like a Broadway musical. And we thought that's probably not the best idea, so we changed the name. But it was this. I mean, I think paying homage and respect to the family. If we would have gone off in a tangent, well, one, it would not have been truthful. And so anyhow, I don't mean to necessarily go on and bore everybody and all your listeners to tears, but the important part was getting this story correct, where this was subtle but horrific as time moved along for this family.
And how long did this story, when the story was taking place, how long did the events occur? What kind of time period were we looking at there?
From, let's say, beginning to end, 2.5, 3 years.
Oh, really? Wow.
It wasn't, well, and again, putting yourself in that environment, let's just call it what it is, to label somebody ultimately possessed in modern times, like in your standard living environment, your neighborhood. Nobody really thinks along those lines. But after you kind of take all of the options off the table, let's say, as far as Michael, the father, at some point you become a desperate character. But that's eventually it comes around. If you can't eliminate all of the possibilities, and you reach out to, let's say, your parish, your church, your minister, your priest, then you're dealing with something that is out of the ordinary. But as I recall, this wasn't a matter of a few months. This developed over time.
Well, something interesting: addicts, alcoholics, people who are obsessive with a whole lot of problems, whether they're actual addictions or obsessions, when they find a cure or an ability to control themselves, when asked, what was going on with you, the first thing they say is, that was not me. That was not me. I'm not like that. That was somebody else. And how I see that, and when I read Craig's script the first time, what I got out of it was that was their demon. And that demon can possess you in many ways, and whatever your weakness may be. It may be food, it may be shoes, I mean, who knows, maybe gambling. You may have all kinds of problems. It may be that you're obsessed with sex, you're cheating on your spouse. Could be anything. So what I was intrigued with.
What if I just said all of the above?
All the
just
above.
came clean right here, right now.
Exactly right. So I think what Craig was, getting at is that in the film, these folks aren't extraordinary. They're you, they're me, they're the guy next door. They're the family down the street. And it could be your auntie, my auntie, your mom, my mom, our sisters. So it's kind of scary, and I think that's the reality that we get. A lot of our audience, a lot of the viewers, we're getting a lot of comments. That's what they appreciate about it. It wasn't Hollywood gimmicked. It was something they could relate to. They know somebody like that. Nobody knows anybody from The Exorcist whose head spins around and they spit out green pea soup. But everybody knows some family member who, when they start drinking too much, they turn into an asshole, or the woman gets a little bit too loose and gets loud and starts changing up. What is that? Well, I think that demon is what it is. And that's the nature of man. We have that.
The other takeaway from this movie, don't mess around with a Ouija board. Bottom line, we can be all intellectual we want, but there's certain principles. My grandmother, rest her soul, she used to consult with, was a term, her Ouija board, her tarot cards, and her crystal ball. That was a very normal upbringing for myself, because you mentioned about the paranormal. And my grandmother, I think, had a good line when it comes to the Ouija board. It's like deep sea fishing. You may be going out for tuna, but you're not really sure what's on the other end of that line. And so if you have some weaknesses in certain areas, just be mindful of what you're doing. And Dave and I have been talking about, if we so decide to do a sequel, there was one scene that we did not have in this film involving the Ouija board that, and I think we made the right decision, that was just out of control, horrific on every level. And I think that accurately depicts, if you will, the vastness, the darkness of the uglies. And we may use that at some other point in time, but we didn't. We certainly didn't play all of our cards in this film. And seeing how this film ends, if we want to revisit certain areas, we could certainly do so.
Now let's talk about the reception of the movie. We've hinted at some of the feedback that you've had from the audience. What's been some of the direct feedback that you've had? People who have, for example, said, listen, I was in a situation like that, or the way you depicted it was very similar to, an event that I lived through or some kind of trauma that I lived through. What has been some of the interactions that you've had?
Do you mind, David, if I take the first?
Oh, no, please do.
Okay. It is a shockingly high level. Now, they won't post it necessarily on any platform socially, other than they will reach out to me, or let's say David, but I'm going to use myself in this case, principally through Facebook Messenger. And it goes like this: hey, my apologies for reaching you this way, but they don't want to really hang it out there. Oh my gosh, I have a story very much in alignment like this. And are we surprised? Absolutely not are we surprised. But we've had a lot of people, and their comments are, or have been, they can relate to this a whole lot better than, let's say, other possession, exorcism type of movies, because it's over the top. They can't relate to that. But they can relate to this. Let's just think of, in some broad strokes, as far as a demon wanting to conceal themselves. They want to fit in. It's like any time that if we've had too much to drink, you're trying to do what? Act sober. And in a sense, you have a very similar analogy right here. But yeah, behind the scenes, a shockingly high level of people that have reached out with similar type of stories, and or have gotten them to start thinking like, I wonder if. David, go ahead. You might want to add on this too.
Well, yeah, I think, Craig, you've already expressed exactly what really is making me feel good about the reception we're getting from the audience. They not only can identify with it, but the fact that they're saying they don't appreciate anymore the Hollywood gimmickry. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I've been told we're glad it's not a chop film. There's like maybe 7 drops of blood in the whole film, because we don't think cutting up people is necessarily entertaining. It's not for me. I've never really been into horror films, even though I've seen a lot, because I watch movies, and I watch a lot of different types of movies. But that's not been my favorite genre. And ironically, here I am. So when I hear an audience member saying, you scared the crap out of me, and this lady said that, you scared the crap out of me because I know that person. I've seen that person. That's what we felt good about. Our mission for CRA Entertainment is to entertain, inform, and enlighten. And entertain is first and foremost. That's our main purpose. We have to entertain our audience. And hopefully we inform them. We provide some information that they go, oh, I didn't know that. And with that, they become enlightened. So when that happens, we feel very blessed about it. And that's what I'm feeling with the comments that we get.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly enough, one of our co-hosts, John, actually works at a popular road. Can we talk about where you work?
Yeah, totally, do it.
Okay. At least locally, regionally, a very popular, like, roadhouse live music and
It's a bar.
and bar.
Yeah.
And some of the stories he tells me, like, I can't believe that this is a person 90% of the time acting this way.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have seen things, John, that border on the supernatural.
I've actually seen the ghost that we have there.
Really?
Really. I've been there for.
Hey, do you guys mind if we digress for a ghost story real quick?
No,
No, no.
no.
So I've kept this in the back
Please
pocket
do.
until the subject came up. But I've been there for a little over 5 years, and everybody that's worked there has had one kind of a story or another, and it's usually, well, I heard somebody stomping around, or I was up there getting supplies, or this, that, or the other, and they heard a knocking on the door. And it's just little shit like that. So now it's a whole it's an apartment up there. So there's windows and bedrooms and whatnot, and we use it for a lot of storage. And I was outside in the side of our beer garden, and I was talking to a customer, and we were having this really nice, lovely conversation. And my attention kind of glanced up at the side of the building at one of the windows. And I happened to see this guy walking in front of the window. Now, it's not impossible for a customer to be drunk, because it does happen. And they found their way up this back staircase, and they got in the apartment. The apartment's never locked, because we go up there because it's a nice, clean bathroom. It's for employees only, but we found the occasional customer up there. So it's really not that big a deal.
Right.
So I'm sitting there going, oh, a customer made his way up there. I'm going to go throw his ass down the steps. This is going to to be fun for me.
Right.
So, and from
And
where
by the way, John is the bouncer.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm,
Yeah, he's not just a patron.
yeah. I am
Not
the,
just a pretty
the
face,
bouncer.
huh?
I am the bouncer.
He's
So-
not just the president; he's also a client.
So, from the position I was at, I had, 15 feet to get to the bottom of the staircase. I mean, I kind of did a cute little, put my little butt on the outside Tiki Bar's actual bar, kind of spun around, and I was right there. So there was no way this drunk person found their way down the steps. I mean, I'm over there in less than a minute. Go up this only staircase to get up there. Open up the door. And I always carry a flashlight with me because, well, I'm the bouncer and it gets dark. Shut the door. I put a couple boxes in front of the door so nobody can sneak out behind me, and I'm going to catch this person. And, I'm looking to have some fun with this guy, I mean, clearly this is a male person I saw walking in front of the window. So I go up there, and I go room to room. In each room, closet. And there's no doors on the closet, so it's not like I have to open something. Nothing up. But I go room to room, bathroom to bathroom, just every inch of that place. And I get all the way to the back of this upstairs apartment. And that's when it occurs to me, there's nobody up there but me. What I saw walking was the ghost.
Whoa.
And when I get there, I get to the end, and I hit that realization. The hair on my arm stood straight up. And I said,
Oh, chicken skin.
it's...
Run!
I want to leave right now. So I quickly walked back and couldn't get out fast enough because somebody put boxes in front of the door. So I was like, oh yeah, I did that. And I moved them and I went downstairs and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go stand by people now. But yeah,
The
You know,
breathing variety.
live
yeah.
people.
yes, it's,
Let me guess. You saw that and you bounced.
Yes.
that's exactly what I did. I bounced up out of there. But, I was there for 5 years and finally saw a ghost.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's not like, ooh, there's a ghost. I mean, I'd bet my life on it there was a drunk guy walking in front of the window. I watched
Wow.
this, and it's a solid corporeal thing I saw, and there wasn't anything up there. It was a ghost.
Now, and this is something that I want to ask both Craig and David, because you hear about this a lot, especially with film, because film, for the most part, starts to take on a life of its own. As you're telling a story, it's weird because you sort of got this hall of mirrors. You're telling a story, but you're adding to your own narrative, and there are all these other narratives you're adding to at the same time. Now, my question is, since you're dealing with that kind of subject matter, was there ever a time where the subject matter sort of seeped into the production?
Well, okay, from the very beginning, I'm just going to say this and turn this over to David. When we were location scouting, me and this other person, the basement that was in the film, which is a double basement, we fell in love with it. And what you always do, we shoot video. So, to archive it and and get back and send it to David and this and that, so we can discuss it. So when I went back and I'm editing this, I sent it to the guy that I went there, and I said, I want to send you the footage and just tell me what you think of this. So he called me back immediately. He goes, Craig, we've got orbs. Now, look, everybody can say what they want about, light flares and all of this, but I'm going to stick with orbs because we've done this enough times that we've never had an occasion like this. Why this particular location? So that's kind of how it started. And then, David, what was that incident in filming that we were, the mirror, remember that mirror that fell all by itself and nobody was even near it?
We weren't even next to it. We were standing in the hall of the second location, not the basement. By the way, the basement was 100 miles away from the set where it existed. And when we were on the regular set, we were in the hallway, we were working, and this mirror that had been secured, not by us, it was already there in this house, a very nice house too. These people really decorated well. Just fell down. Bam. Everybody goes, what? And we all jump back. We pick it up. We're okay. That's a little weird. But if I may get back to the basement location, when we were there shooting, by the way, this was an old, now closed down reform school in Banning, California, out in the desert, the high desert. And this location, our sound guy had went and was recording sounds for us, just ambient sound all over the place for mixing. And he went into this old building way down to the bottom basement area, and he was getting extremely strange sounds. I had to shoot a scene that I was involved in down in that location in a little office we had turned into an office for Father Bob, the character that I played. And it was just me and the makeup artist. We were down there. Everybody else was at the other location, which was maybe, I don't know, a few hundred yards away from where I was in another little house in the basement. Mm-hmm. And I'm over there, and the makeup artist is putting these crosses on my back, tattoos. And we start hearing this sound. And she goes, okay, this is getting weird. I go, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. And we're hearing like banging, like bam, 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 bam. And then like knocking, dum, 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 dum. And she started to get worried. So I go, look, it's coming from down where we were. And we're in this huge hall area. And there's all these rooms to the side. So I go down there. She's freaking out. I'm looking in all the rooms. And I've been down there once before, so I knew they were empty.
And it's dark.
Yes, and it's dark. And I didn't see anything, and I'm getting a little weirded out. I come back. I says, no, it's nothing. I go, just got to let it go. And we're there, and then all of a sudden it sounds like it's coming closer to us. She goes, that's it. I'm out of here. I go, wait. Wow. The other people should be coming. Right around that time, the rest of the crew was coming down to start shooting the scenes, setting up, doing the lighting and whatnot. They were finishing up with the other location. And I was like, where you guys been? We're freaking out down here. But we got all those sounds, and that was really, really weird for us. So this film, I think, especially in that basement, there was a lot of strange energy. It was cold as hell, but then there'd be times when it wasn't cold. It was like warm, because we had Elena Gerard playing Katie. She was down there in rather revealing costume.
Is that when things got really warm?
Go on.
I asked her, I said, are you cold? She says, no, it's not cold at all. And it wasn't. So I don't know how to, because it was cold all the rest of the time. And all we had on there was a candle. So, aside from our regular lighting, but that was mood lighting. It was ambient, so it had no real heat to it. So anyway.
We had talked
and also, if I can interject, in the basement, in the film, some of the sound that our sound mixer captured, we used in the film. So we certainly took advantage of what he captured down there.
Yeah.
Now, we had talked about your female lead and the fact that she did not come from a feature background. Now, I mean, honestly, she has a very cinematic look to her. What is she doing now? I mean, not like right now. I mean,
Actually, I'm okay if we know what she's doing right now.
Because I kind of feel like Honor. But,
And what's she wearing?
like, do we know what some of her next projects are? She just has that look where you see a particular actor and you think, I'm going to see them again.
She had a part in a film we just shot called The Crumbs, and that was shot in Placerville, California. It's in post-production now, hopefully coming out here by January, if not sooner. We'll see what happens. But she was in that, and she's been doing a number of commercials. She's also been cast, from what I understand, in a series, an upcoming series called The Bench. That's I'm not sure who's putting that together, but that's coming out, I believe, in September or October. They're going to start working on that. I'm not sure what their schedule is. We're not involved in that. But she's a very energetic young lady. She's working, trying to get herself together and get as much work as she can. So, we'll see what happens with her. She's a dynamic lady. She's not going to sit around and wait for anybody to give her anything. She's going to go out and get it.
Now, you guys have had quite a bit of luck, actually, with The Evil Down the Street. I've seen some of Craig's posts and a lot of popularity on VOD. So what has been the overall response? Because you guys have had a lot of watches, correct?
Well, we have. I mean, a ton, a shocking amount. And some of this, which I really would like to say, but we're not able to per our distributor. And if I did, David's background is law. He'd be all over me, and for every good reason under the sun. But I can say this: I had dinner 2 weeks ago with our distributor, who David and I just really, really enjoy, Indie Rights, and of their 800 titles plus that they have, our film Week Before Last on Amazon Prime had the most viewed minutes of any other film. So we were very appreciative of that. And what was told to me by actually a cast member from The Crumb. Now, I've not checked this myself, but I'm going by what was told to me, so I can't. That's my disclaimer, I suppose. But I guess that Amazon Prime has something like 8,000 titles that are under the horror genre.
Yeah.
And the search that he did of the top 50, our film came in number 20. And the reason why, and this is where David and I are very appreciative of, like, you three guys, that April of last year, after we shot the film, we started engaging with a number of horror groups, paranormal groups, and various offshoots. And they just embraced us. I mean, they really have. And so that grassroots effort of, like, you guys and spreading the word and all of these things, and from, let's say, if you just fan that out incrementally, that David and I just feel really blessed. Like, a lot of really terrific, cool people enjoy what we do, and they have shared it, and it caught on. I mean, it's. Go ahead, David, but we're just blessed.
I think you're boasting enough for both of us. I am totally with you. I can't tell you how amazed I am. I don't do art for the applause, and neither does Craig. One of the reasons why he's my partner is because he loves the art that's within him, not himself within the art. And that speaks a lot. We love what we do. I love that people love it. I do it anyway, whether they did or not, because I can't help myself. But to have people respect and appreciate what we're doing is the ultimate test of purpose. And if I had not run into Craig a couple of years ago, not by luck, I had a gentleman, a guy I had been working with. He was an actor in a film I was working on as a director, and he kept insisting that I meet Craig Ahrens. And I said, well, okay, sure, whenever. And over a period of a year, we finally got together. So for me, it's like I'm supposed to meet this man. It wasn't just one time. It was several times I was being told, talk to him, call him, meet him. And we finally got together, and immediately we saw eye to eye. We clicked. We were on the same page about everything that's happening. And we just started working together, and this is happening. So I'm beside myself with thinking that it's because I'm great or Craig's great or we're great together. I don't believe that at all. I believe totally that this is supposed to happen. We have higher duties and callings, and hopefully we continue to make good quality films that people love and are entertained by and get something out of it. So I've been blessed in my life to have met this gentleman and be in the position I am today, to work with him and all the cast crew, to know people like you folks who are wanting to talk to us and spread the word about what we're doing. I can't tell you how enormous that is. Without you folks, where would we be? Without an audience, there is no film. So I'm overwhelmed with gratitude and amazement about all of it.
Well, and I tell people frankly that it really is a total pleasure to be able to speak with me. So I'm glad that both of you were able to see that tonight.
I don't blame you. I will too.
Now, where can people currently access The Evil Down the Street? What platforms is it on? People who are listening tonight, people who will be listening to the podcast when it's available for download, where can they go to access the film?
Sure. Presently, Amazon Prime. However, let's say within a couple of months, we're going to be available on Tubi TV, which we're really looking forward to that because not everybody has Amazon Prime. Now, and if somebody doesn't have Amazon Prime, well, they can rent it for $1.99. So, that doesn't necessarily break the bank, so to speak. But it will be available on Tubi TV, which is a free platform. And it's a terrific platform. Their thing is that, they will have commercials that they play. But it's very popular. They have close to 30 million users. So we'll be on that here soon. So, but for the present time, Amazon Prime.
Cool. Well, there's one other platform. This coming Saturday at Grauman's Chinese Theater, in Hollywood, they can come and see the screening of it right there. They have the pleasure of meeting this gentleman, Craig Ahrens, many of the actors, crew people, producers. My sorry self will be there if you happen to find me. But other than that, they can have the opportunity to see our film.
At the legendary Grauman's.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
Do you guys have a couple moments off the air for us?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. For those of us, I am watching myself, mind you. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live, people have popped in and out. Some people actually, strangely enough, that had listened to my old show years and years and years ago popped on, so that was kind of nice. We will be back probably about 5 minutes. When we do come back, we're actually going to go, if you guys want to stick around for a second hour of programming,
Totally.
we will go ahead and talk about The Dead Don't Die. We will talk about the Child's Play remake and some other things we've seen lately, as well as this weird move by the WB and DC to discontinue the programming. We want to thank Craig, David, you guys have been a blast tonight. I think it's fantastic we were able to actually talk about some personal experiences, some things that are as spooky as the film itself. We want to tell people definitely check out Evil Down the Street, check out Amazon Prime, any other platform. I'm sure we're going to be hearing more from these two guys. Thank you so much for being on. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Our pleasure.